Gaëtan, please introduce yourself to everybody who is listening and also who will be rewatching the replay. And please tell us what you're working at the moment right now and what is the importance of tech in everything that we do, especially in co-living, obviously, and why your love for tech.
Right. Okay, so co-living operator. It's about 2017 when we started, when people didn't really know what it was. The word was still a big word out there. Started this off in Singapore. My journey started through a successive encounters of people in Singapore startup scene. The old school version of digital nomads, expats, basically.
I like that, the old school version of digital nomads.
Just longer term digital nomads. And I was looking for something to change the world with, to play my part, to contribute. And very much chanced upon this. I was lucky enough to be at the right time at the right moment, and a product that people liked. And through that process of understanding what tools to use, how to keep teams engaged around helping people and caring for them, which is not an easy job. Fixing the future with one hand, fixing plumbing with another. I realized I wasn't the only one out there. And there was actually quite a lot of other crazy who thought that radically change the way we live, make things better. And there was a bit of a moment where I realized that all of us were sort of converging at this point where we genuinely believed that we had a shot at changing the housing market, but at actually the way we interact with each other. And when I understood that was, and so now I'm continuing on this journey. At the moment, keeping the momentum going with smaller independent operators in advisory roles, helping them get their business off the ground and start right. Very much, tech is very much part of that, like it is for the co-living operation. Just it's an enabler, a very powerful one, but also one that's been clouded with a lot of bullshit and a lot of we're not supposed to say bullshit on the ground.
Now you say it again.
So I think it's important that I just voice my thoughts and experience about.
I know that.
And try and spare some people some costly mistakes. Because tech can do wonderful things, but it'll never replace the human touch. Then again, in our model, the human touch alone is not profitable enough to keep an operation going and scale. So there's a fine balance to find between us.
Yeah, for sure, especially with scaling. I guess if you want to keep it extremely small and super, super personal, maybe. But then it's very hard to reach more people, right?
Yeah, and then you're going to put a strain on your team.
Yeah,
and they'll keep quitting, especially with the kind of profiles that do well in co-living, because they're usually givers, so they don't count the hours, and then you just burn through good people because you're not taking care of them the way you should be.
I really like that you said that tech is an enabler. I strongly believe that too. But so today we are talking about connecting community, connecting multiple communities online, especially. And as an operator who's been through that for many years, I wanted to ask you, what is the biggest challenge that you found, or that you also heard from maybe other operators, and now obviously as a consultant, as you're doing at the moment, the biggest challenge to build communities online with digital natives, especially, that are so used to do everything on a finger touch?
If I had to boil it down to one, I think it's staying focused on what matters. We tend to look at tech as some sort of golden gun. It's going to fix everything. It's going to be what I'm known for. It's going to help people see me in a new light and my experience and therefore carry my business forward. That's not true. What does carry you forward, what does experience and your reputation, is what you enable with the tech, what you allow to happen thanks to technology. And a lot of times that gets removed from the core purpose of your community. And I'm a big believer that you don't have a community, you have some sort of purpose. It can be anything. It can be taking care of new people coming into town. It can be taking care of talent. It can be taking care of being the best neighbor in here, whatever it is. But you need to tie some sort of purpose to your community. Otherwise, you just have to. And oftentimes, the technology is not looked at to force that purpose, but as an extra service. I think that's the catch. Put the technology to work towards your purpose, and not just an extra tool in your basket of services. Then I'd say, like, if you have that as a base, then the problems you'll encounter are not that different than online and offline. You'll still find that you need engagement up. It looks a bit different offline than online. But, for example, online, keeping engagement up really boils down to what stories can you provide your community to tell about what it is you're doing. And that's it. You shift you take the same things that you're doing offline, analyze them, understand what's working, what's not working, and then create ways for your community to share that online. Again, tying it back to your purpose. And you really want that consistency of voice, that consistency of experience in the tools that you use. Things are felt in the physical space.
And I mean, we were already chatting about even when we met in Amsterdam live, and how it seems to be easy, if we can say that into brackets, because obviously digital natives who are the biggest, let's say, market right now of especially people in co-living, people that move, they are very happy to transition from university life to still communities and still searching for communities. So this seems to be quite, like an obvious thing for them to do it, therefore quite fast and maybe easy. But I'm sure there is some sort of but behind it. Have you encountered any at all?
Yeah, the classic but. It's the ratio between and consumer. How do you balance between people actually creating content for you, participating in the experience, or co-creating something, and the people that are just, and I think you really want to address that again, also digitally. And an easy way to do that is either you establish this as a criteria for anybody who wants to join the communities, and so that we expect you to contribute. If you want to be a bit sort of less stringent on the criteria, then you can choose to basically ignore the consumers and then focus on the content and put your energy on them. And that means basically, finding and supporting and empowering your superstars. So how do you identify these people? Who are the ones that keep showing up all the time? Who are the ones that keep creating content? And focus on them. You'll find that's way more rewarding than trying to include everybody in the first. The truth of the matter is, you can't. Not everybody is willing at all times to be part of the community. Some people aren't. Focus on those guys, and then you'll see that things are much easier.
I agree. It's I think it's a challenge as well, for not just for everything that we do in tech, but also just, as you were part of the community management and facilitator mastermind that we did as well, and we discussed it often. You can have the best tech, you can have anything available, but some people just want to be a part of community to kind of like have it there, but not necessarily be extremely involved.
And that's absolutely fine. And that's most of us. And I mean, creating that safe space for the vast majority of your residents is your job done. It's your mission accomplished. But don't mistake the people you can rely on and you should include in crafting your value proposition, and the right along. And sometimes I've seen a lot of operators waste energy on and have a lot of energy because they're trying to do too much at the same time. And it really ties back to technology. Focus on what's going to deliver the most impact. Don't try and deliver a full suite of integrating systems. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, people won't speak about your technology. They'll speak about the event that they were able to attend because of your technology. They'll speak about the person they met because of the technology. You'll find that most of the technology to enable that is already present. So you don't need to build it. All you need to do is shop around for the right tools and put them together in a nice way. Not overextending yourself trying to get it.
That's interesting, actually. What you just said. You're a stronger believer of that? Of like, I mean, there are so many, anything that you're using in tech, right? Which could be a platform for your colleague. Let's talk about co-living in this specific, but anyway, it's quite general. But it could be like a platform or a system that you need, anything, any infrastructure that you need. What do you think the difference are between, like, for example, custom build? So you actually spend time and money and resources and everything to build your own solution, or infrastructure, or exactly as you said before. So just kind of like use something that is already there, maybe personalize it, integrate with very different thing, and then maybe use your energy in a different way.
Yeah, especially at the beginning of your of your operation. You look at you break down an experience in three big phases. You've got the excitement phase, the anticipation phase, where you've created something, people get pumped, so they start visually imagining what's. In the middle, you have the experience itself, and at the end, you have that reflection, and you're creating memory. What you really want to be focusing on is the middle part, because that's the one you can actually create yourself, and that's the one that's going to create your brands, your value proposition. Interestingly, it's the last part that's most important, the reflection, because that's when you create a memory. Remember when you go to a party, the funnest part of the party is the next day calling up your friends and telling each other about that moment where you weren't together. He did this, she did that, oh my God, crazy. That's when you cement the memory of an event. That's when it goes from an experience to a great memory. And that's when you get a chance as an operator for people to speak about you.
Yeah.
So if you look at that reflection, what is that? That's sharing pictures, and my God, is there enough technology out there to share pictures? So at the lowest sort of common denominator, you have very powerful existing tools that will get the job done to get you out there. So that's taking care of the member experience, to an extent. And then internally, how do you move everything together? We're in an interesting phase in time, and the market is maturing in terms of technology operators providing technology for co-living.
Totally.
I started at a time where there was virtually nothing.
Yeah.
We literally looked at the market. Okay, listen, we have EMS or we have a CR. We need some sort of a hybrid, and we had to build.
Yeah.
Having gone through that pain, I can tell you that it's absolutely a fascinating process. It's really good for your business. It's structuring in a way, but also it's a huge commitment both to develop it, to maintain, and that takes your attention away from what's actually going to bring impact to your business, which is crafting these experiences, spending time training your team, spending time with your residents. So that's the balance. Is like, where do I put my and at what stage of my growth am I at? I absolutely do not recommend start shifting your energy away from your residents any time in the first year or two of your operation, and start building your technology. It'll drain you, or suck you.
Yeah, and I really like what you said. I think is very important, for anyone who is an operator to really understand that. And as much as it also depends, right? let's be honest, with how much money you start with fundings, right? If you have like unlimited, and you can hire
But
your.
even then, even if you have unlimited fundings, I would strongly advise you not to go for it.
Okay, that's good.
Especially because you're in a discovery phase about your team and your product. So when being in a discovery phase, both in your value proposition and in your technology, is a lot of discovery going at the same time. If you want to kind of do something, be in the discovery phase of your product at the beginning for 1 or 2 years. Once you really have a clear idea of what you want, then start a process of building that into technology, of downloading that know-how. Then you get your operations to run along. Problem with that is that it's kind of an illusion that you won't need to change your value proposition, because the market is waking up, there's competition, so you're also going to need to put some energy into bettering your physical experience at the same time. So there's a lot. And then also the truth of the matter is there's a lot of great technology that's coming out there.
Yes.
There's a lot of great PMS players who are coming up with some smart ways. I think the biggest limitation right now with the way these programs are being built, they're more long-term, so that the minimum duration stay are not quite adapted to co-living. And then there's a whole component around actual community facilitation that is present to some extent, but not to the levels operators want it to be and need it to be in order to differentiate. But with all the conversations I'm having around, somebody's going to come up with it, not a couple. And I think waiting and seeing, spending some your energy on the community building rather than on the processes and systems, or getting that extra, last 20 or 10% optimization. Probably wait a little bit.
Yeah, and with the tech community, in Co-Liv, this is also what we want to do, is bring in more awareness, not just to the operators, sorry, on what is the best technology to use, and not just like a name or something, maybe more like system or infrastructure, but also the opposite, for anyone who's actually building, to really understand what actually operators are looking for and how they can work together to really channel it. Because exactly as you said before, this is still a market, which is a sector, however we want to call it, which is still quite new. I mean, it's shifting from one thing to another, right? Like you said, the digital nomad were the expat, and, co-living, it's not something that is something super new. Like, people have been sharing houses before and been sharing accommodation, just in a very different way. So everything that is being built, if we want to call it, for co-living right now, any role, any situation, any infrastructure is pretty new. And I think, as a lover of tech, obviously I am super excited, because I see it every year. But even when I speak to operators, if they're looking for integration, or if they're looking for something else, they just say, okay, yeah, look, we started 6 months ago with, XYZ, and then we developed this with them, and we told them this. So they added this to the platform, or they integrated something else, and we told them we wanted to add some other solutions. So they are now working together. And I love it. I love the fact that it will be like a massive collaboration of everybody to really push the sector and develop it.
It's happening. And I think the next frontier is how far as a industry, but also as a movement, but also as a support network from technology perspective, we're willing to get into the soft territory. As we well know, co-living is both a part of hardware, physical building services, getting roofs over the heads of people, but also creating these positive interactions. And that territory pretty much charted. Now, not from a research perspective, we know so much more than we can actually process into technology at this point, but we are pushing towards that, a state of technology where our concerns are no longer how do I optimize the onboarding journey of a member, but how do I optimize the relationships of my residents.
Totally.
That problem there won't be solved by single independent players. The states that we need to bring our technology and our thinking is so advanced that will call for new. Now, when we get to that, I'm going to be very excited.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really differs, right? It differs a lot. Building, physical and digital concepts online and live community. Everything is very, very different. Like the engagement needs to be different, the time span, the structure, the infrastructure, and everything. How do you? I mean, what do you think? And then I know we have to wrap up and go, but I'll let you go on with your day, and me too, actually. But what do you think is the main difference or differences, maybe if you have a few, between really the digital, if we want to call it like that, so maybe a mix of physical and digital or online, and actually the physical, community building?
The reciprocity. Online, there's a delay between action and reaction, which means that I can take the time I want to reflect on something. I can hide behind anonymity. I can craft a message that doesn't necessarily represent me in the state that I read it. In the physical world, when you say something, I react it. And that, I think, is the big difference. That's why we start talking about digital echo chambers, where we start talking about people who stop saying hello to each other in the elevator, or because they consider that their privacy doesn't engage them or doesn't call them to say hello to people the same way they don't need to respond to a message on WhatsApp. We're taking online behaviors and making them like offline, like we were offline. I think that's the main difference. So as an operator, you need to come in and help regulate that. I don't like the word regulate. It could be another word, but at least sort of mitigate the impact that online behaviors can have offline, and vice versa. I think that's the biggest difference. It's online you have your best self forward. You choose when you want to reply. You choose if you want to interact or not. And physically, you have those same kinds of behaviors. You're aggressive. You're offensive. You're not. You're telling people that live with you, go away. I don't want to speak to you. Or I don't want to be in your midst. And that, for a community-centric living space, is an issue. And that's when you need to come up with your rules. The famous club owner once told me that you're only as strong as rules, and I think that's relevant online, but even more so offline. I think, again, this idea of consistency between online and offline, of making sure that people behave in ways that they are conscious about, and online has made unconscious about a lot of things. We don't think more about what we're doing online because it's a screen apart, so it's like it's fine. We don't feel that we're actually speaking about somebody, or we're actively ignoring somebody else, or and I think that's one of the big roles that community facilitators and the living world in general can help with. How do we start engaging with each other in ways much more mindful, and aware that indeed we are sensitive human beings, despite the fact that yes, we're performance driven and we're machines and things and we conquer, etc. At the end of the day, if someone doesn't say hello to you, it hurts the same way it hurts when somebody doesn't throw the ball back at you when you play football, and we're all the same. So staying mindful of that very simple thing throughout your experience, both online and physically, I think can do a lot of good to us.
Yeah, so there is just a comment from someone from Sun & Co. That says, hugging is a great community building tool that can only be done offline.
Yes.
Stay COVID safe, guys, though. No hugging during COVID, apparently. No, I'm only joking. But you said a couple of things in this last few minutes that already made me think that I want to create another event with you. So you need to commit right here, right now. That one is joking, but I'd love to. I love when you said about how we are taking the online behavior to what we are doing every day. And I think it's something which should really, I'd love to, you know, discuss it deeper with you. So maybe in another live or something. But that was really, yeah, that really made me think. It is so true.
Yeah, and we do it with completely unaware.
Yeah.
And we know, like, the toll this takes on human psyche has been evidenced and researched. It has a real negative impact. And if that's the only thing that co-living changes, that we start saying hello to each other in lifts, I can rest in peace.
I know, me too. Like you were saying it before, and I was just getting so emotional. And I was like, yeah, we are bringing that back. It's like, it's so true. It's so true. And it hurts us. It hurts our soul at the end. You know,
it hurts our ability to collaborate.
Yes.
Collaborate on bigger problems. It hurts even the way we see ourselves. You know, if that's the way we treat other people unconsciously, what importance do we grant ourselves? Do we not think that we're important enough to go out there, communicate, and share a little bit of through that interaction?
Oh my God.
We're getting a bit deep, but
yes, absolutely. And I was like, okay, this is really another event that we need to have. So definitely, I'd like to dig deeper into this, because I think it's such an important thing. Could it be solved with tech? Maybe. You know, could tech participate even more? Yes. Can we change the way we use maybe tech, and, you know, tech can enable other things? Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it's I really like what you said, and I absolutely really love the fact that you said that co-living can solve, if we want to say solve, can tackle, maybe tackle is the better word, this problem. And yeah, basically co-living is going to save the world. Right? Okay, well, we're super late, and I really appreciate you extending your time a little bit longer. And thank you very much for being our first guest in the Breakfast Talk. What an amazing way to open it and to start it. And for everybody who is watching, either live now or the replay, so we are going to put Gaëtan's details on the description, I guess, and then you can reach him in that sort of way. And thank you for all my girls. Look at that, all of them here supporting. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry. I get very excited when my girls support me. So Sandra, Leah, Lucy, Kristen, thank you very much. And thanks everybody else. And all my ambassadors that also were here, all the Co-Liv ambassadors. We'll put details of how you can join the tech community, Co-Liv in general, and everything else in the description. And the next Breakfast Talk is going to be in February, always the third Thursday of the month. And I think this time we are going to do a breakfast time, but the other side of the pond. So it might be a US breakfast time. So I'll see you there, and stay tuned, because Gaëtan and I are going to do another event, hopefully, on how technology online and offline changes behavior. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kate. Bye, guys.
Ciao.